Thank you both so much for being with us. General, President Zelensky telling American lawmakers earlier today that Ukraine urgently needs more assistance from the United States. There is reporting out that countries like Poland may be working out deals to get Russian-made jets into Ukrainian hands. Your thoughts?
Well, we put several billion dollars worth of equipment into their hands over the last several years. Fortunately, the Polish border and maybe the Hungarian border are still open to smart munitions, Stinger, Javelin, possibly armed drones. I think the aircraft is not going to be significant. You know, we get 20, 30, 40 old MiGs in there. Their air bases are under attack. This is a ground invasion, 200,000 troops. The Ukrainians are fighting bravely. What they really want is an air cap that turns into a ground attack force. If the U.S. Air Force, Brits and the French went after Russian ground forces and the clump targets are now presenting, it would be a total immediate game changer. That's not going to happen. It would immediately mean war with Russia, and President Biden, I think, correctly is not going to go that route.
Colonel, do you agree with the general's assessment there?
Oh, yeah. Look, there's no political will inside the United States for war with Russia, and that would generally engender an exchange of nuclear weapons. Nobody wants any of this. The result is that the war on the ground will have to continue, and we're going to have to do as good a job as we possibly can to give to the Ukrainians what they need: anti-tank weapons, more of those, anti-aircraft weapons, ammunition, small arms and automatic weapon ammunition, and food. The thing to keep our mind on is the fact that if the Russian forces from the north link up with those from the south, they're going to cut off the Ukrainian army that's in the east, and then all the refugees who are there are going to get cut off too. In any case, there are going to be 2 to 4 million refugees streaming over to the west, which is a disaster in its own right. There's something else to keep in mind. The Russians are working very, very hard to cut Ukraine off from the Black Sea. They're cut off from the Sea of Azov now, and if the Russians keep moving to the west along the shoreline, the only way that the West is going to be able to send supplies, food, ammunition, and so on to the Ukrainians is going to be a narrow strip of land between Moldova and the Black Sea, and that's liable to close up, Alicia.
I mean, General, I just like you. Can we bring back up the map? Because I want our viewers to be able to see what it is that we're talking about, right? We've been talking about the army in the north meeting the army in the south. The West is where most of our reporting is coming from, right? We keep going back to Calipari and Lviv. That is where we are seeing an outpouring of refugees into Poland. General, what happens if Putin decides to train his attention on the western part of this country?
Well, eventually they'll get there. Personally, I think this thing will be largely wrapped up in 30 to 90 days, maybe even quicker. The actual point of decision will be this giant city of Kyiv. 3 million people, most of them civilians now, huddled in basements. They're getting hungry. They're going to flip off the electrical grid, turn off the water. The Russians will be firing thousands of artillery rounds a day, not 30 or 40 cruise missiles and ballistic missiles. It will get miserable rapidly. Those Ukrainian soldiers will have all the advantages if they fight block by block, but it would be devastating on the civil population. So it's not clear to me that at some point President Zelensky doesn't say, let's withdraw to the west or declare it an open city.
Colonel Jacobs, you have been involved in urban combat, the exact type of combat that the general was detailing there. What can people in Ukrainian cities expect in the coming days and weeks?
Well, the continued bombardment, as General McCaffrey says, and he's absolutely right about how difficult it's going to be for the Russians to attack in a city that's turned into complete rubble. And nobody knows that better than the Russians themselves. who repulsed the Nazis in Stalingrad with the Russians back against the river. And one of the reasons the Russians were successful in defeating the Nazis in Stalingrad was because the city had been turned into rubble. It's really hard to attack in a situation like that. But he's also, it's heartbreaking to watch what's taking place inside Ukraine with its citizens, and it's going to be more difficult to watch in the weeks to come, Alicia.
Heartbreaking indeed. Colonel Jack Jacobs, General Barry McCaffrey, thank you both so much for being with us.